Welcome everyone to today's Wednesday webinar where we're going to be talking about the first step in Canvas migration and optimizing your course for accessibility. With me today is Ryan Randall, Kimberly Tompkinson, Mark Cooper, and I'm Lisa Kidder, and we're here in the ITRC to help you with all of your questions. So an overview for today, we're going to talk about why start with accessibility. We're going to talk about adding the Accessibility Plus Toolkit into your Moodle course, submitting for analysis, and then going through some of these automated wizards that make checking accessibility in your current course very easy. There are more wizards and tools in the Accessibility Plus Toolkit. We actually will be highlighting one of those once a month throughout the semester. So today we're just going to start with these three things. But first, let's talk about why accessibility. Your course is a website. So there's HTML and CSS and all these things that you don't need to know that are behind and supporting your course. We have amazing rich content editors that you can go in and just type and it converts into the HTML and the CSS so that your course helps guide your students through their learning. So what we're going to focus on with accessibility is basically cleaning up your code without going into the code. There are a couple of deprecated HTML tags. In other words, they are outdated and old and need to be replaced with new ones. Copy and paste always brings in excess code. So if you are someone who likes to write in Word and then copy and paste it into Moodle, you've brought in a lot of excess code. So this is one way to kind of look and take care of some of that. It will not take care of all of it, but it's a step in the right direction to make sure that you have cleaner code. As your course is a website, in Moodle, it'll be a website in Canvas, and the cleaner and more consistent your code is behind the scenes, the easier it will come in to Canvas. The other reason is some of the accessibility features that we're going to look at and use the Accessibility Plus Toolkit for have additional information. So like with the deprecated HTML codes, they meant one thing in former days, and now they've updated it so it conveys two or three things. So it's a more powerful tag that creates more access to more people. Using those more powerful tags also means that it will work with the theming. That's the CSS part if you want the code part. But as you put stuff into Moodle, it looks good. It has the same font. The headers are consistent. The same thing will happen in Canvas if you have some clean code. The other thing is, as we focus on accessibility, it reduces the barriers for everyone. I know that you have all experienced opening up your course and either through a copy and paste or some random code, you're like, my course, it looks a mess. And then we go in and fix it. And it creates that barrier for you, but it also creates barriers for others. So we're going to focus on accessibility so we can reduce barriers for all and make sure that your course is ready to be imported into Canvas. So I'm going to turn the time now over to Mark, who's going to talk about adding the accessibility block.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, to add the accessibility block, and you have to add this block to your course. It doesn't already come installed into your course. And so this could be found in the right-hand side drawer of your screen. And if you don't have it enabled, there's a button where you can hide it, and then there's a button where you can unhide it. And so the first thing you want to do before you add the block is to first turn the edit mode on in your course. Once you turn the edit mode on, then you can select add a block, which is on that right-hand side of the screen once if you have it open. And then once you select that, it'll give you an option to add multiple blocks into your course. The Accessibility Plus Toolkit that we'll be talking about today is the very first one. So once you select that option, then the block will appear in your course, again, off to the right-hand side. And from there, the Accessibility Toolkit block is added into your course. The next thing we're going to talk about is how do you submit your course to the Accessibility Toolkit for analysis. This is where the toolkit will scan your course and it'll identify various accessibility issues that are in your course. So to do that, I'm going to go to that Accessibility Plus Toolkit block and click on the large orange button, Submit for Analysis. And once you do that, you'll get a message that says your course has been scheduled for analysis. And this analysis does take some time, so it won't happen immediately. What will happen is once the analysis has been completed, you will receive a notification, and you'll receive it in two places. The first one is you'll get an email, and the second one is you can find it in your notifications within the Moodle Learning Management System. And that is in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, which is by your profile picture. It's the bell icon. Once the analysis for the Accessibility Toolkit has been completed, your block will turn into an image like this, where it shows all the different types of accessibility issues, the number of errors, and some helpful guides on how you can understand each one of those. But we're going to turn it over to Ryan. He's going to give us more detail on that today.
Thanks, Mark. So I'd like to remind everyone, as Lisa was saying, both Moodle and Canvas are websites. But thankfully, for most of us, unless you really love messing around with code, it abstracts most of it away for you. So you don't usually have to think about it. If you have been reusing things that you wrote a while ago in Moodle, some of the tags, as Lisa was saying, have become outdated. With the move from HTML4 to HTML5, the very brief summary of the change is that there's more separation between what you see and what it means behind the scenes. So the new tags, I'll show you some of them in a few minutes, but basically the new tags are more semantic, they're more meaningful. So in the past, there were codes like B or I, which just meant bold or italics, and that just refers to how they look. But the new codes are emphasize, EM, emphasis, or strong. And usually people display those as italicized or bold. But that's sort of the conceptual idea of what the changes are to prepare you for what I'll show you in a minute or two. But as I was saying, the wizards that we have, they can help you fix this underlying HTML. You don't have to get into it too much, but I want you to know sort of what's going on behind the scenes, just so you can understand what the wizards are doing for you. So here's the process I would generally recommend. When you open up that Accessibility Plus toolkit that Mark was just telling you how to add, first of all, view the report. That'll let you know which errors the wizards will help you fix. Also read the included guide, because they're very small, they're very brief, but they'll also let you know sort of what the automated wizard is doing behind the scenes for you, because that will let you know whether or not you feel it's appropriate, because you're the instructor, you know what's going on, you know what you're trying to convey to your students. So you'll be able to better recognize than just an automated tool, oh, actually, that's not what I want to do. Maybe I want a different approach. So reading the guide will help you know if it's what you feel is appropriate. And then you'll be able to select Fix to actually have it address the errors. So that's the sort of overall preview of coming attractions as I'm about to go into a course and let you actually see the process in real time. Here we are looking at a Teaching Online with Moodle ISU example course. As you can see, we have the Accessibility Plus Toolkit over here in the right. If you don't end up seeing it, but you know you've added it before, you might need to click on this arrow on the right to make sure it actually shows up in that sliding block drawer. And I went ahead and made sure that we'd have some example errors to demonstrate. So in our Start Here section, you can see that we have right here a strike through. We have what look like bold and italics. We have all caps, and we have some odd spacing here. I don't know why we might have this large white section. So let's see. We're going to go look at the Accessibility Plus Toolkit, and it will help us know what's going on behind the scenes there. So if I open up the report, what we'll see first is a lot of links. You're welcome to read through all of those different tabs and things, but for now, what I'm going to do, this view tells us the specific different things that it has actually found in this course. It's funneling just to the errors it has actually found. So here, what I'm going to do is start by the simplest ones, the ones that are those outdated tags that I was telling you about between I and B, where it used to be italics and bold, but now it should be emphasis or strong. So if we look at the italics element at the very bottom, the first thing, as I was saying before, I would click on the guide that would be selecting the page icon, and then it will pop up with a very brief example, explanation that says that this I element used to mean italics, but it doesn't explain what that is for non-sighted readers. So now the appropriate way to convey that information, to sort of semantically explain this is what's going on, is to use the correct EM tag instead. You don't have to go through and apply that tag to everything. That's what the wizard does for you. So then what you can do is you would click on Fix. And then you'll be able to see all of the however many errors are in your course. You can see here on the right, for each one of the specific examples, it will say, here's the existing text, here's what it will actually update to, here on the right. If you want, you'll be able to see it more in context here in the middle. And if you realize that this isn't what you want at all, you can go here, edit content will let you totally change everything. So if you were to click on the green view error in full context, it will show you a little bit more, a sentence or two here. So then for each of these, you can see here's an example of a title that's in italics. Now it should be emphasized instead. It will look the same for anybody who's sighted. It's just that switching from a description that's just about visuals to instead that more semantic, here's what it means. We mean we're emphasizing it. That's the difference between the I and the M. And that will be conveyed to anyone who uses assistive technology like screen readers. So I'm scrolling down to the bottom, and then what we can do is say we want to fix all of these at once. So I would select this Submit Bulk Fixing button, and it will go through and update all of those. So now it went from 12 down to just the 2 that remain. So we can go through, make sure that that's what we want to have changed on these. I sort of skipped over that part here just to keep the demonstration quick. You might want to go through and make sure it's actually the changes that you want to make. For these particular tags, it almost certainly is. And make sure to select Submit Bulk Fixing again. It will only do 10 at a time. So sometimes you'll see many more errors. You'll need to go through and make sure to do each page of errors as they come up. So similarly, I'm going to go back to reports. And again, we'll be able to look at, we just did italics. We can do the same thing for bold. Look at the guide. Again, it tells us B used to mean bold. Now the more appropriate thing is to use strong. And so we would go to the wrench icon, select it. And again, we'll be able to see here in the middle is what it is in context. Here is behind the scenes. It's focusing just on that code for you. And this is what will be changed to. So because I know all of these errors, I'm going to go ahead and say yes, do all of them at once. But as I said, for some of the different wizards, it'll be more so for the later one, the more advanced ones. You will want to get in the habit of looking to see what changes it'll make. So you can select Submit Bulk Fixing, and again, it will do most of the heavy lifting for you, the tedious fixing each thing. So now we're just down to 3. I'll again go back to reports. And the next one that we're going to look at is that a header needs to contain text to be perceivable. So a header, that's a structural section. So if you're used to writing an APA or MLA or many other academic styles, you're used to having section headings. Similarly, that's what the internet uses to make sections on a page. And those use tags that start with H, and they should be structurally nested. For now, what's important is that it actually needs to have text inside of it. So those blank spaces that I called your attention to earlier, those mysterious, why are they there? I made a couple that had those section headings, but didn't have any text inside of them. And so that's why you're seeing the weird extra spaces. So we'll be able to click here on fix, and you can see here, this outline is showing, oh, there's something weird here that doesn't have any content. So were you to have this error, this might surprise you. You wouldn't necessarily know what that means to just see a sort of oval in dashes. That's what this means. And that's same here. Both of these are just empty. So the information here is that the heading will just be removed if you apply the submit bulk fixing, which is what you'll want to do. So I'll go ahead and do that. The other 2 that we're going to talk about today, going back to our reports, are all caps or excessive capitalization. The reason we don't want to do that is it generally makes text harder to read. So the ideal case is to only use that where you're using an acronym or a logo. If you're using it to emphasize text, which is what many people often do with all caps, instead, please use the emphasis or strong tags. So it will look either italicized or bold. So here, what you can do is click on fix, and it will find those examples, like here where it says real time in class. Over here, it shows that it will be mostly fixed. I don't think we want a capital in the middle of the sentence. So instead, I can change that to real time, and then real time with a lowercase r, so it fits with the rest of the sentence, and then click submit bulk fixing, and it will update to what I'm intending it to be changed to. And finally, this is the only one that's difficult for us to demonstrate because it's so outdated that Moodle won't let me make this mistake anymore. But if I go back here to start here, you can see that this first set of words is crossed out, strike through, like it's under deletion. And the old way of doing that would be to use a tag that says strike, and that doesn't convey any information to screen readers. If somebody's using a screen reader, often they will just hear how this course works and not know that that's apparently been deleted. So the best fix for that scenario would instead be to write what you actually want, instead of having it be a sort of editorial copy editing sort of display in your class. Just get rid of the thing that you want to have conveyed as deletion, unless you have a really persuasive reason to leave it there. It can be confusing for screen readers to hear information that they don't know is not actually supposed to be presented as a positive, when visual readers will see that it's actually under deletion. So hopefully all of that helps make sense of how to use these actual wizards. And for anyone who's motivated by having dopamine released, by having things done at scale quickly, you can see that the number of errors that we have has gone down massively, even though I didn't go through and click on every single one. So it can help you go through and fix the code without you having to do very much actual HTML coding yourself at all.
So we first want to thank you for participating in today's Wednesday webinar session and making that time to spend with us. And if you are eager to delve deeper into this topic or to explore other topics that we have and the work that we do with the ITRC, we have various resources that will support you. So first of all, the Tiger Tracks knowledge base is a library of how-tos at your fingertips. And then we also have a library of videos and recordings similar to the session that we had today. And those can be found on our YouTube channel in our ITRC video library. And then finally, the Instructional Technology Resource Center supports the development of instructional materials and resources that are accessible to everyone. So please visit our website for more information. Now, if you would like to meet with us and talk about your specific course or other questions that you have, then you can email us at itrc@isu.edu. You can also call us at 208-282-5880. And our front lab is open for drop-ins. We're in room B17 in the basement of the Oboler Library, so come and visit us there. And then you can also schedule an on-demand appointment with a full-time staff member of the ITRC. And those appointments are Zoom appointments, phone appointments, or in person. And so we're ready to accommodate your needs. And finally, we would love for you to join us for other Wednesday webinars that we will be hosting. And if you can't join us because you have a conflict, then sign up for it and we will send you the recording afterwards so you can still get that good information. And then keep an eye out for ITRC webinar announcements in ISU Today and the ISU events calendar. And then you might also explore the complete listing of our webinar events through the semester on the Wednesday webinar schedule. And you can access that slide by clicking on that QR code that you see there on the screen. So thank you everyone for being here today. We appreciate you spending that time to learn about accessibility and to make things better for all students on campus.